Hey everyone, my name is Laxon. In this video, we're going to learn about data types and that. So before we start talking about data types, I want to create a folder where I'm going to house, where I'm going to put the file that I'm going to create so that we can practice. So there are icons on top of this. This icon you use it to create a folder. This icon you use it to create a file. So I've just clicked here so that I can create a file, a folder. Sorry. So I'm going to name this folder my app. Yeah. So and under this folder, I'm going to create a file called main. So now here's the thing. So for the computer to understand or to know or to identify that this file is a .dat file, what you're supposed to do is supposed to add an extension. So you're going to an extension that will allow it to identify that this is a .dat file. So you are going to say dot or dat or dot dat just like this. So now that as you can see here, even the icon has changed. So this is the logo for dat. So the computer knows that, okay, this is a dat file. So now that we have created this file, we can start our coding. So we're going to declare the main function. So the main function, okay, let me just declare so that I can explain it a little bit, I guess. So let me just do this. So main, it's something like this. So this is the main function. The main function, this is the name, and these are parentheses where you can add some arguments and all that. Then this is the curly brackets. The curly brackets are there to make sure that whatever that you put inside is under this main function. This main function. So what's the main function? The main function, it is a mandatory function that I can say that you need for you to run pretty much all data application. It is the entry point for any data application. So it is responsible for executing all library functions, user-defined statements, and user-defined functions. So this is a must. You must have this declared for you to run your dat application or Flutter application. This is where everything starts. That's what it means. This is the entry point to your application. Yeah. So as of now, I know that you'll be like, what are functions and all that? So I'll explain them later. So for now, let's concentrate to what we are here for, which is data types. So before I start talking about data types, I'm gonna print out something so that you guys can see on the screen that this is working. So we can print something on the screen. So for us to print something on the screen, we use a print function. So this is a print function, this one. So for us to print something, we have to pass in something inside the print function. In this case, I'm going to pass in a string that says hello world. Hello world, like this. And I'm sure you have noticed after we declared this main function, there are two things that appeared on top of it. There is a run and there's run and debug. So for you to run this application, you can just click run. Then when you do that, it's gonna load and we can actually do this so that you guys can see. As you can see here, it's saying hello world. So you can type your name inside here, whatever that you want to print out. So like I said, the print function prints to the console. Whatever that you want to print, you're supposed to pass it in as an argument. So this is an argument that we have passed in inside this print function, as you can see here. Okay, yeah. So now that we have seen how we can print something on the screen and all this stuff like that. So I'm gonna talk about data types. So what is a data type? A data type in programming is a classification that specifies which type of value a variable has and what type of mathematical, relational, or logical operations can be applied to it without causing an error. So in simple terms, a data type is an attribute associated with a piece of data that tells a computer system how to interpret its value. So understanding data types ensures that data is collected in the preferred format and the value of each property is as expected. So data types are, I can say like in simple terms, formats of data. So in this case, as you can see, this one is a text, right? So this type of sequential type of characters, this one is called a string. So a string can have a different type of, it's not only text, actually you can even say hello world one here, as you can see. So if we run this, it's gonna run this like hello one here. So this is not a number, this is a character part of a string. I know that it's a number, but if it's inside the string, it's called a character, not a numerical value, but a character inside this sequential data type called string. Okay, let me start with strings. Okay, let me start with numbers before I even talk about strings. So so like that comes with a number of data types. So they're numbers, they're strings, they're booleans, they're lists, they're maps, they're ruins and symbols. So we're gonna start talking about numbers. So what is a number? So this data type is used to store numerical values. So this data type called number is used to store numerical values. So they can be of two types. Actually they can be of two types, which is integer and a double. So how do we declare an integer? So this is how we declare an integer. So we start with int, then the name of the variable, which I can say maybe num1 is equals to, let's just say maybe 5. So the reason why I can be able to store this value in this variable is because this variable is of data type of int, and the value that I'm passing is an integer. Then for those who don't know what a variable is, a variable are more like containers for storing data values. So this is what this is all about. So this is a variable name. So I'm assigning, or I'm assigning this value to this variable here. And this variable is of data type of integer. So meaning that it can only allow integers to be stored in this variable. So remember that we earlier we printed a string. So I'll give an example. If we try to let's just say maybe assign this value into this variable. Let's just say hello world, as you can see. So hello world. As you can see here, it's giving you this red line here underneath. And if you hover on top of it, it will tell you a value of type string can be assigned to a variable of type int. So meaning that this is a value of a string. This is a value of type of string. So meaning that it cannot be assigned into a variable that has a type of integer. So only integers are allowed to be installed in this variable. Like we have mentioned, a variable is more like a temporal container where you can temporarily store values. So in this case, we have stored the value of 5 in this variable, and we can easily access this value. So for example, we can print it using the print function that we've just learned earlier on. So we can print it by calling the variable name, which is num1, and make sure that you end with the statement with the semicolon, as you can see here. So when you run this, you notice that it's gonna print 5 here. So under numbers, there is another data type called double. So double, you start with the data type, with the data type. So here it's double. So double, I can say num2. So the other thing that you have to know is that you don't have to declare a variable can only be declared. All variables are supposed to be unique. That's what I'm trying to say here. All variables are supposed to be unique. That's the reason why I'm not going to use num1 here. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because we have already declared a variable with the same name. So what you're supposed to do, you have to declare a variable with another name. So in this case, I'm going to declare it num2, or I can just declare it my double so that you guys don't get confused. So I can just say my double, that's a variable. So my double is equals to 5.0. So a double is nothing but a number with a decimal. I can say. So if we try to pass in a whole number like 5, here, so this is a double actually. It will be identified as a double. So it will be translated as something like this, by the way. That's how it is. That's how that will sit. So if we try to let's try to enter the same value, pass in the same value like the previous one. Okay, just say maybe 10 so that they're different. So if we try to print the value of double, my double here, and run this, it's gonna give us 10.0. So like I said, this will be translated to 10.0. So doubles are decimal numbers. That's how it is. If you're coming from other languages, I'm sure you know that there are different types of I can say like under decimals. There are floats, and some languages will say decimals or some kind of a thing. But in that, there's only double. That's how it is. All decimal numerical numbers are considered to be doubles. That's it. So let's continue. So we have learned that there's an integer. An integer is a whole number. That's one thing that you have to understand. An integer is a whole number. So an integer represents the whole number or a non-fractional value. So as you can see here. So we cannot pass in 5.0 here. It's going to complain. As you can see here, a value of type double can be assigned to a variable of a type integer, because this thing here is an integer and it requires you to assign an integer. This container can only allow to house an integer. So that's how it is. So I'll give an example, like in just layman's language. I can say maybe you have two containers. The other container is for milk, then the other container is for water. Then the container for milk, you find that whenever you try to pour water in that container, it will start complaining that this is not milk. That's exactly what's happening here. So this variable can only house a value of a data type integer, and that's the reason why that's what's happening here. So you'll be dealing with, as you're creating an application, you'll be dealing with different data types. Sometimes you'll be dealing with whole numbers, sometimes you'll be dealing with fractional numbers like this one, and these fractional numbers are called doubles. So this is how you'll be storing their data. You'll be storing them in a double. If you're dealing with integers, you'll be storing them in an integer variable, some kind of a thing. So then there's another data type, which is string, that we talked about earlier. So you start with string. I have to point out that the string here starts with the capital letter here. The S is capital letter. It's not small letter like integer and double. String, it's a capital letter. If you declare it with a small letter, if you declare it with a small letter, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to be recognized as a keyword here or as a data type, I can say. So you need to declare it with we start with the capital letter as it is, just like that. String. Then after that, you declare a what? A variable. So I can say my string. So this variable is gonna call this my string is equals to. I can say, oh, I can just declare it my name. So that it just maybe assign a name. You can just say name. I'm gonna say Jen. Then as you can see here, it's saying it's giving you a red line again, so it's telling you it's expected to find a semicolon at the end. So every statement that you write in that, you're supposed to end it with a semicolon. That's how it is. Whatever line that you write a line, you have to end it with a semicolon. Line again, just like that, semicolon, just like that, as you can see here. So this is a string. A string is another data type. So what is a string? A string is a sequence of characters. Think of this as how the various alphabetical letters are combined to form a word. A word in this case is a string. So as you can see here, of course, like I mentioned earlier, a string cannot only house or it cannot only have alphabetical letters as characters. It can also have anything. It can be like maybe a slash or some kind of a thing. It can have um, numbers in it. You get the point. So Jane's 6,483. So actually you can even print this just to verify that it's working so that you can see it. So you pass in the variable in the print function so that you can see it on the screen. Then you run it. As you can see here, it's working perfectly. So that's how it is. So then there's another actually data type that's there. It's called booleans. Booleans or a bool. That's how we declare it. We just say bool. Bool. Say my boolean. I guess you can just say my boolean. That's the name of the variable. So a boolean is defined as a binary variable that can have one or two possible values. So it can be false or it can be true, or it can be zero or it can be one. That's what it means. So here, when you say true, it can only have true or false. It only has two values actually. True, it can be true or it can be false. That's how it is with the Boolean. So we're gonna lay more on the Boolean later on, but just for now, just know that there's a data type bool or Boolean in that. So this is also an inbuilt data type. There's another data type. It's called lists. List. So you declare the list here. So like lists, as you can see here. So you first say the data type, and you after that you do the name of the variable. So I can say my list here. I think. Yeah, so I can say my list is equals to a list here, as you can see. So this is how we declare a list. So it requires you to put I can say like square brackets. So what's a list? A list is a collection of ordered items. So this can be thought to be similar to arrays for those of you guys who are coming from other programming languages. So this is a list. It's also a data type. It's a collection of ordered items. So instead of declaring variables the way we have been declaring them like this, you find that a list is helpful if you want to have different items in the list for just to be like assigned. Like you can have a number of items actually in the list. So like a list, the way everybody understand the list. So this is how a list is. So you can even put something like maybe hello here. So say hello, then comma, you separate the items with a comma. Then you can also put another one. Maybe this can be maybe a list of fruits. I can just say maybe apple here, as you can see, pineapple, you know, pineapple. You get the point. And there's a banana here. So this is also the data type that you'll be dealing with. It's called a list. So it can have different types of items in it. So the advantages of having a list is that you don't need to declare so many variables to itemize, because at the end of the day, you find that some people maybe declare apple, it will have its own variable, pineapple, it will have its own variable, might it will have its own variable. Now, just imagine you have thousands of items. How are you going to declare variables for that? So the best way is to put them in a list so that you can easily access them using one variable. Like here, you can access the items in a list using what we call index. So these items, since they are in the orderly manner, meaning that we can pinpoint where exactly they are. So like this first item, it's on index 0, or what index is pretty much the same as position. So this one is on position 0, this one is on position 1, and this one is on position 2. So we can call, or we can print out the item, an item from a list, by just calling the variable name of the list, which is my list. Then put some square brackets here, as you can see. Then we enter the position number or the index. So in this case, if you want to print out apple, we can just enter 0, as you can see here. So then after that, we can run this so that we can see what we are trying to print out. So run. As you can see here, it prints apple. So if you want to print banana, we can just enter 2 because banana is on position 2. So 0, 1, 2. So if we run this, it will print banana, as you can see here. So this is another data type that you guys are going to be dealing with. And this is another data type that you're going to be dealing with. So far we have talked about integers, we've talked about doubles, strings, bool, and lists. So there are other data types that you're supposed to look at as well. I'm not going to cover them in this video, so I don't want this video to be that long. But one thing that you have to understand about data types is that data types are very, 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 very important, because the application that you're going to be creating, the applications that you'll be creating will be dealing with data. It's either the data will be coming in or you'll be presenting the data. So data types are there for you to understand how you can manipulate a piece of data. So for example, I can tell you that, for example, you can get, like the length, or how you can know how many items are in the list by just doing this. By after the variable, you just enter the full stop there, or the dot, then you get this length. So this length have access can get the what, how many items are in this list. So if we run this, you'll notice that it's going to give you a number of items that are in the list. So here, as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, and that's why it has printed 3 here. So this is some of the things that we're going to be learning in the next topic. So if you have any questions, in line with what we have just learned here, please ask them in the forum. You can ask them in the forum, or you can ask any of the instructors, so that you can get so that you can understand, or you can just reach me so that you can understand more about this. But like I said, in the next lesson or next video, I'm going to explain how we can start manipulating these variables or these data types or something like that. So for example, we're going to learn about arithmetic operators, like the plus sign, how you can add numbers, like for example, we can print out the sum of num1, so num1 plus my double. So here we are trying to add, here we are adding the value of num1 and the value of double here. So if we run this, we're gonna get 15.5 because we are adding 5 and 10.5. So in the next video, we're gonna learn how we can manipulate this using operators and other ways so that we can get the desired result of whatever that we want to create. So see you guys. If you have any question, don't don't wait for someone to maybe point out that no, you don't know this. You can just ask. There are no stupid questions. That's one thing that I've learned in my journey as a programmer. So you can just post your question in the forum, like I said, or you can just reach us. You can reach one of the instructors so that they can guide you, so that you can understand and we can be moving forward. See ya. Bye, guys.